Hello, fellow AI art enthusiasts. In this video, I wanted to take one more look at some Midjourney SREF styles that would work well if you would like to make some coloring book pages. I have 25 styles to show you this time. It was pretty intensive trying to find these as I basically tried the prompt coloring book page out with a lot of SREF codes. And you will see the best ones out of that experiment in this video. I also did a secondary experiment with trying to see what kind of word combinations work to produce images ready for coloring. So that is why you may see some of the images already colored in. At least, you then know what doesn't work. And it is also worth mentioning that none of the styles looked like a coloring book page without specifying that with the prompt. So, before we take a look at the images, let's go through what prompts I used and how they look with the default Midjourney style. For the landscape aspect ratio, I selected the simple prompt, coloring book page. I still think it's the best prompt to get your generated images to look like coloring book pages. For the portrait aspect ratio portion of the experiment, I chose the prompts. Cute farm animals coloring book page with a comma. With this one, I tried to introduce in what I would like to see in the images. The second prompt was classic cars line art. Slightly more adult themed with some mixed results. Then I went with dizzy astronaut bunnies black and white outline. I guess this was the worst one of the prompts as the images often had color in them, and the final prompt was silly superhero parody coloring page. This had some good results too, but it's simply a variant of the coloring book page. And now, let's take a look at the styles. 1-0, Enchanted Storybook Diorama. Most images are well suited for coloring, with clear outlines and engaging designs, but some have too much detail or pre-filled color, making them less ideal. The balance between simplicity and detail is decent, though a few astronaut bunny images feel too busy. With a generally consistent style across themes, the set is solid but not perfect. A 7 out of 10 for overall coloring book suitability. 5-1. Rustic Ink Sketchbook. This set leans towards a more detailed and intricate style, which may be challenging for casual coloring. While the farm animals and cars are well outlined, the astronaut bunny and superhero designs have finer details that could be difficult to color cleanly. Some images also have a sketch-like quality, making them less ideal for a traditional coloring book. A 6 out of 10 for overall coloring book suitability. 1-4-6. Fantasy gaming environments. Most images have clean outlines and are well suited for coloring, but a few contain pre-filled color or overly detailed backgrounds. The farm animals and cars are clear and simple, while some astronaut bunny images have too much shading. Superhero and fantasy elements maintain a good balance between detail and space for coloring. A 7 out of 10 for overall coloring book suitability. 1-4-7. Mystical ethereal landscapes. Many images in this set have delicate, sketch-like details and soft shading, making them less ideal for coloring. While the farm animals and cars maintain clear outlines, the astronaut bunny and superhero pages contain too much texture. The fantasy-inspired portraits and floral elements are intricate, but might be too detailed for casual coloring. A 6 out of 10 for overall coloring book suitability. 1-8-5. Mystical animated narratives. Clear outlines and minimal shading make most images in this set well suited for coloring. The farm animals, cars, and superheroes maintain good structure, but a few astronaut bunny and fantasy elements have pre-filled color or unnecessary shading. While the style is mostly consistent, some portrait images have soft gradients that reduce their usability. A 7 out of 10 for overall coloring book suitability. 2-1-6. Geometric pastel collage. The structured patterns and mosaic-like elements offer a different coloring experience, appealing to those who prefer detailed, mindful coloring rather than traditional character-based pages. However, the soft gradients and lack of clear outlines may make it difficult for casual colorists. As a unique style, it stands out, but for general coloring usability, it's a 5 out of 10. 2-7-2. Whimsical fairy tale watercolors. Crisp outlines and simple shapes make this set highly suitable for a coloring book. The farm animals, cars, astronaut bunny, and superheroes all have clean line work with plenty of open space for coloring. Fantasy elements and nature scenes also maintain clarity without excessive detail. A solid 9 out of 10 for overall coloring book suitability. 306. Lush fantastical nature scenes. Clean outlines and well-structured designs make most images in this set suitable for coloring, but some have pre-filled shading or color. The farm animals, cars, and superheroes are mostly well-defined, though a few astronaut bunny images have unnecessary gradients. Fantasy elements maintain a good balance, but some portrait-style images have soft shading that reduces their usability. An 8 out of 10 for overall coloring book suitability. 344. Post-apocalyptic realism. Bold outlines and structured designs make many of these images suitable for coloring, but some have excessive shading or pre-filled areas. The farm animals and superheroes work well, though a few astronaut bunny illustrations have dark backgrounds that limit coloring options. Portraits and fantasy elements are detailed, but mostly maintain clean line work. A 7 out of 10 for overall coloring book suitability. 377. Enchanted forest realism. Soft shading and pre-filled gradients reduce the suitability of some images for coloring. While the farm animals, cars, and superheroes have decent outlines, the astronaut bunny and fantasy scenes contain too much shading. The mix of line art and grayscale elements makes coloring more restrictive. A 6 out of 10 for overall coloring book suitability. 396. Vibrant fantasy illustration. Bold outlines and clean designs make most images highly suitable for coloring, though a few have pre-filled color. The farm animals, cars, astronaut bunny, and superheroes maintain a chibi-like style that enhances their coloring appeal. Fantasy elements also work well, with clear spaces for creativity. A strong 9 out of 10 for overall coloring book suitability. 419. Realistic cluttered atmospheric. Clear outlines make some images well suited for coloring, but others have excessive shading or dense details. The farm animals and cars work well, though some astronaut bunny images have dark backgrounds that limit coloring options. Superheroes and fantasy elements are a mix of clean designs and overly intricate floral patterns. A 6 out of 10 for overall coloring book suitability. 488. Bright, vivid, realistic. Clean outlines make most images suitable for coloring, but some have light shading that reduces flexibility. The farm animals and cars maintain a classic coloring book style, while astronaut bunny and superhero pages have good contrast, but slightly busy backgrounds. Fantasy and portrait images include fine details, which may be challenging for casual colorists. A 7 out of 10 for overall coloring book suitability. 558. Temporal rustic whimsy. Clear outlines make the farm animals and cars well suited for coloring, but some astronaut bunny and superhero images have heavy shading. Fantasy and portrait images lean toward realism, with intricate details that may be difficult to color. The mix of clean line art and shaded elements creates inconsistency. A 6 out of 10 for overall coloring book suitability. 570. Psychedelic fantasy uprising. Bold outlines and cartoonish designs make most images well suited for coloring, but some have pre-filled shading that reduces flexibility. The farm animals, cars, and superhero parodies maintain a chibi-like style, making them fun to color. However, the fantasy elements and some astronaut bunny images contain grayscale shading that limits creative choices. A 7 out of 10 for overall coloring book suitability. 585. Mythic valor realism. Strong outlines make some images well suited for coloring, but heavy shading in several areas limits their usability. The farm animals and cars retain a classic coloring book style, while the astronaut bunny and superheroes have detailed shading that reduces open coloring space. Fantasy portraits and backgrounds lean toward realism, making them harder to customize. A 6 out of 10 for overall coloring book suitability. 586. Neo-noir Fantasia. Cute and bold outlines make many images well suited for coloring, but some include pre-filled shading and selective color. The farm animals and cars have a simple, playful style, while the astronaut bunny and superheroes contain some dark areas that limit flexibility. Fantasy elements lean towards manga style, with expressive characters, but heavy black fills. A 7 out of 10 for overall coloring book suitability. 619. Verdant Adventure Graphics. Strong outlines and minimal shading make most of these images well suited for coloring. The farm animals, cars, and superhero characters are simple and cartoonish, offering plenty of open spaces. Some astronaut bunny images and fantasy elements have slight background details but remain clear for coloring. A solid 9 out of 10 for overall coloring book suitability. 675. Pastel Storybook Serenity. Many images have pre-filled shading or color, reducing their suitability for traditional coloring. The farm animals and cars maintain a playful, well-outlined style, while some astronaut bunny and superhero images contain soft gradients. Fantasy elements are detailed but lean towards grayscale shading. A 6 out of 10 for overall coloring book suitability. 753. Energetic Comic Illustrations. Strong outlines make many images suitable for coloring, but some contain excessive detail or shading. The farm animals and cars have a clean, structured style, while astronaut bunny and superhero images balance detail and open spaces. Fantasy elements are well drawn, but may be too intricate for casual coloring. A 7 out of 10 for overall coloring book suitability. 757. Green Fairy Tale Fantasy. Soft gradients and pre-filled shading reduce the usability of some images for traditional coloring. The farm animals and cars maintain a clean, outlined style, but the astronaut bunny and superhero pages contain subtle shading that limits flexibility. Fantasy portraits have delicate lines but might be too detailed for casual coloring. A 6 out of 10 for overall coloring book suitability. 761. Green Fantasy Illustration. Bold outlines and minimal shading make most of these images well suited for coloring. The farm animals, cars, and superhero designs are clear and simple, allowing for easy customization. Some astronaut bunny and fantasy elements have light gradients, but they don't overpower the line art. A strong 9 out of 10 for overall coloring book suitability. 819. Hyper-realistic urban fantasy. Clean outlines make the farm animals and cars well suited for coloring, but some astronaut bunny and superhero images have busy backgrounds. Fantasy portraits contain fine details that may be too intricate for casual coloring. The overall balance of line work is good, but some areas are overly dense. A 7 out of 10 for overall coloring book suitability. 848. Whimsical Anime Fantasy. Some images have clear outlines suitable for coloring, but others include pre-filled color and shading that reduce flexibility. The farm animals, cars, and superhero designs are mostly clean, while a few astronaut bunny images have unnecessary gradients. Fantasy elements maintain a balance, but some floral backgrounds are overly detailed. A 7 out of 10 for overall coloring book suitability. 894. Purple Twilight Digital. Most images have strong outlines and are well suited for coloring, but some include pre-filled color or shading. The farm animals, cars, and superheroes maintain clean designs, though a few astronaut bunny images have dark backgrounds that limit coloring flexibility. Fantasy and nature scenes have a good balance of detail without being overwhelming. An 8 out of 10 for overall coloring book suitability. Alright. Those were the styles for this video. I did indeed comb through around 1,000 SREF styles to find the ones that listened to the prompt the most in my opinion. So if you are in need of coloring pages, you have now seen a selection of styles to try out. Each of them does bring in something different to the images, and of course, your prompt always matters too. If you would like to support this channel and get all the images and prompts of this video in a prompt PDF format, please check out the link to my Patreon and consider becoming a member. I would like to thank my amazing supporters who are keeping the lights on for this channel during this slowdown period for Midjourney. We are constantly nearing the Midjourney version 7, but it's been coming soon for a while now. I am about to take some time off for a week, but I will still keep posting weekly videos. Knowing my luck, it's very possible that Midjourney will release the preview for version 7 while I am away. But I will be back to more up-to-date content very soon, hopefully. In the meanwhile, I thank you so much for watching, consider subscribing, and let's continue prompting.